I just want to take a minute because there's a siren.
It's because my pussy's on fire.
Is something on fire? Something's got to be on fire.
Oh, where's
That's
my
a
kitty?
5 alarmer right there.
My kitty.
They're going to need the big ladder.
Yeah.
Hey dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, and it is time for another fabulous Chin Wag. Oh, we dove deep into the archives for this interview. The one and only Christian Jeffries. How are you, darling?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Wilma?
Well, I'm better now that you're here. Now, first of all, you look fantastic. You haven't aged a bit.
Thank you. Makeup does wonders.
Oh, and hot lights. That's the other thing. Hot lights and makeup. You're my best friend.
I always say that this is what no toxic relationships or children looks like, you know?
Oh, relationships. What's that?
I have no idea.
Now, how long have you been doing drag?
You know, they always say that there's different sort of birthdays for baby drag queens, and I was a Halloween birth in 2000.
Ah, so 24 years. This is your 25th year doing it.
It is. Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah, 25 years.
So
Yeah.
what would you say now, standing where you are now, is the biggest change for you for doing drag?
Well, one thing is, you know, and thanks in big part to RuPaul's Drag Race, the no wig or the no tits or the no, in one of the last seasons there was no tucking. I was like, that's kind of, okay, all right, whatever. But I remember smoking in bars when there was smoking allowed, and you would take a wig like that, you're wearing right now, you'd take it home, you'd drop it in a bucket of water. The water was black. It was gross. So, I mean, you know, we certainly saw a change in attendance of bars during the time that the no smoking came in. I think that was the year that Mad Cow happened, and so there was a whole lot going on in Toronto. We lost a lot of tourism.
Now, when I met you, I met you a few times before we worked together, and we worked together in 2012 on the Out TV Pride booth, and I'm showing a picture of it right now, and there you are in your fabulous turban before a lot of queens were wearing headwear other than a wig. And me with a sexy handlebar mustache. Your brand for me is no wig, hat, something fabulous on your head. When did that start for you?
I was part of a drag charity show called DQ.
Is that where I met you the first time? Because I did wardrobe on one of them.
That's very possible. I did, I want to say 03, 04. And then I was on tour, and then I did 06, 07. So it's very possible that we met there as well. I think you and I have crossed paths several times, maybe, and didn't really fully realize it. But I did that show, and after the first one we did, I had met Brad Cormier, who's Roxy Terrain, and I had asked if he could design some androgynous looks for me, referencing back to my 80s inspiration. Yeah. And we did, myself and one of the people who were playing live music so that I could sing in those shows, did an evening of my own original material as a piano and voice act. It still didn't sort of rise to the level of what I was hoping my music would eventually sound like, but it gave me an evening of my own, going back to the original dream. You know, I think sometimes in life we meander to try and find either substitutes for or different things in life. But if someone has a dream, when you sort of start to get back to that dream, it really sort of rings true, and it's like coming home. There's something that you feel inside of yourself coming back to that original dream, coming back to that original child in your bedroom in your small town, hoping to get out one day and show them all and be something different and whatever. So, I mean, getting back to that is really quite a lovely feeling. And I think the journey started with that particular performance. To answer your question, that's when wearing hats and doing stuff like that sort of started.
Because I know for me, it really set you apart from the hoi polloi. You know, drag queens. Like the thing that changes between these drag queens is just their performance style and their aesthetic. But you had such a strong visual, you know, because I think back in the 80s particularly, like fortune favored the thin.
It did. When I first started, I mean, I had to fight an uphill battle as being well, I wasn't plus when I first started. I became plus, but or
Sing it, sister.
I thought I like to call it extra. But when I first started, you know, whenever anybody starts doing something, especially drag, and I'm sure you've probably experienced this, every queen that's established will walk up and go, "Oh, the hair needs to be bigger. This needs to change. This skirt should be shorter. This should." And as soon as I would walk into a bar, people would just start touching me and trying to change and fix. And could we raise the, and in looking back, I feel very thankful for that, because it meant that they saw something in me.
Because
and,
everybody needs help.
Yeah. And I won the Ty-Con Entertainer of the Year that first year that I was out. And I beat Terry Stevens. It was her and I sort of at the end. And they sort of listed things, and they said, you're going to receive this and this and this and this. And Terry leaned over and went, "And a makeover,"
She's terrible. I love her. I just got an email from her the other day, or a message on Facebook, like out of the blue. Well, it was my birthday, but it was like, Terry, talk about, digging up the dead.
She became my drag mother. So she got me ready.
You couldn't do worse. She certainly is.
No, and I think she needed a friend, and I needed help. And I think we met and we really connected that way. And she was a handful back then.
Well, and I can understand. I could see her gloaming onto you because she really appreciates talent.
Well, she really, and when I did Drag Idol at Zelda's, she was my first pick for judge, and she's a very proud mother. Let's put it that way. Yeah. She's the one that's always sort of in the background in the picture. She's Mama Rose or whatever, but comes from a very sincere place.
Yes. It's all from love. Even when she's being mean, it's love.
I have to keep telling myself that, but yes, that's true.
Yeah. You have to remind yourself. Were you always a live singer, or did you start lip syncing when you went into drag?
I started lip syncing because I sort of thought my live singing was one thing and drag was another, right? Because I was auditioning for musical theater and things like that. And when I got into a drag pageant, they said, "Well, you need talent." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I was competing for Miss Zippers, and I thought, well, I'll sing. So anyway, I did sing. I sang "Get Here" by Alita Adams. And funny enough, Heavenly Heights said to me the other night, she goes, "I will never want anyone else to sing 'Get Here.'" And I said, funny enough, that the night that you heard me do that was the first time I ever sang in drag. And before I was done, you hold that last note forever. And I slowly, and Chris Edwards was the first, I slowly saw people stand up. By the time I finished that note, I went, my life had changed. Like in the course of holding that note, I went, I've got something here. I got it backwards. This is what I should be doing. Right. So that's when I started to sing live. And, the funny thing is, when you sing live, people don't necessarily feel like they can tip you. Do you know what I mean? So it's a blessing and a curse. And I remember Miss Conception coming to me once after she started singing live, and she said, "People don't tip." And I'm like, "Welcome to my world." Like, they really do appreciate, but it's not, to them, they don't want to interrupt what you're doing or whatever.
It's not that they don't want to interrupt you. It's that they're enthralled, because so few people do sing live, especially in a bar, because they don't usually have a good sound system for it. It's not like you can't sing live, but you're not going to sound great, or you have to sing louder and you're going to hurt yourself.
I've sung in many bars across North America, and quite often the area that's the performance area doubles as a dance area. So all the speakers are aimed in. I don't know how much time you have in this interview, but I'd love to tell a really quick story.
Tell all you want, honey. I got nothing but time.
Okay.
I didn't get gorgeous just to be quick.
So I was on tour, and we were somewhere on a bayou, which I thought was which I thought was some sort of a Walmart. I was shocked when I got there and saw all the marshes. Anyway, we drove by the gay bar at least 3 times because whatever name was up there wasn't mine. Like it was like they had completely misspelled. And on tour, I was Wilma Holhurt.
Wilma's such a great name.
That was my
Such a great name for drag.
So anyway, I don't know what they had up on the side, but anyway, I said we drove past it a second time. And I went, I think that's me. We pulled in. I got into the bar. I went out and did my sound check. You know, we're in the dressing room. My dresser is putting stuff away, and I'm making up and whatever. And the owner comes in, and for a little place, he had a nice bottle of champagne and 2 flutes, and he put it down. He's like, you know, so I hear your show's really good, Pop. You know, pouring the drinks. And like, you know what? I think there's something in it for everybody. There's ballads and there's rock and roll and there's dance and I think your crowd's gonna love it. So he clinked glasses and he said, well, I hope so, because for what I paid, if they don't like it, I'm gonna shoot you dead before you can get to your Winnebago. And I went, oh, that's so funny. Ha 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 ha. His expression did not change. I was like, he's gonna do it. So anyway, I said, oh, well, I promise you they'll love it. I promise you they'll love it. So I say to my dresser, every time I take off an outfit, it goes in the bag. It goes in the bag. And when I put on the last outfit, you zip up the bag and you go and you start the motorhome, okay? I'm gonna hit that last note. I'm gonna hit that last note, walk off the stage, out the door, into the Winnebago, like gone. Like I don't even care for
because like any good drag performer, you get that check before you hit the stage.
Right. So anyway, the show, I go out there to do the show, and going back to what I'm referencing here, all the speakers were aimed in. So there was choreography and movement and interaction with the audience, but I couldn't move. Because as soon as I went a little bit this way, or I went a little bit this way, feedback, 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 feedback. So I'm stuck in this little thing, trying to do something to be visually interesting. Halfway through my ballad, the local queen, who's been sitting there with a sourpuss face in the front row, decides to break up with her boyfriend very loudly. And I'm just like, trying to get through the show. So we end with a big, I forget what this, I think it's probably We Are Family or something, with a big thing. I hit that last song, that last note high as hard as I absolutely can, hand in the air, pivot, and I like, there's a clean shot to the exit door, right? And I'm thinking, I'm just gonna put the microphone down on the dressing table and keep right on going. I get just to the wings, and this hand grabs my shoulder. And I freeze. I'm thinking, I'm a dead woman. I am a dead woman. It is the owner. He pulls me back to the center of the stage, puts his arm around me, takes the microphone, turns to the audience and says, wasn't that the best thing you have ever seen? I literally almost had a stroke.
Yeah, from a life threat to praise like that.
So yeah, I was very happy that the adjusted choreography and the everything else did not take away from what was going on. So yeah, so I escaped death in the Bayou. And then
you survived the Bayou and
I did.
Performed. You've performed everywhere, and here we are now in 2024. You've released a single. Now, is this your first single that you've ever released? Because I feel like it's not.
There were posters up in the village at one point. I was supposed to be releasing a single. The last time I tried to release a single, the entire East Coast lost power. Do you remember that day?
I do. I remember that.
If I released it, no one would have had power to play it. So
the name of this single is
Scratch.
First of all, I saw it. I watched the video because it's available on YouTube. I have a link for it down below in the description. It is a great song. It's such a great single. Did you write the song?
I did. I wrote it with the musical. I'm going to date myself here. I was in the Canada's Wonderland show in 1992, and
oh my God, Canada's Wonderland!
That fall, we wrote that song. The the musical director of that show and I wrote that song together. And he's gone on to work, I believe, with Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber. And so he's gone on to work with some very successful people. I'm probably the lowest on his totem pole of performers that he's worked with. But
at least you're on the pole.
I knew him when he could, play piano and throw up in a bucket at the same time. So
you were working with some people on this, and I'm sorry, I meant to write stuff down, and I'm just a bad interviewer, but it's Christian Jeffries and
Backburner.
That's it. Now, who are they? Is that the band?
Well, once again, I was doing a French show called The Princess of Porn. I was the Queen of Babel. I was not the Princess of Porn. I did not take any clothes off in that show. But I did meet a really fabulous musical director named Alex Purcell. And when I played him some of my material at the rap party, he said, we should put a band together and play these songs. And, in life when you try and try different things, and then all of a sudden something just opens up in front of you and you go, it couldn't have been that easy. Like, it just couldn't have been. Anyway, he rounded up some musicians who I've worked with since 2015 now. And one day I was trying to describe the project to somebody, and I said, well, this is something that I've been had on the back burner for a long time. And as soon as I said it, I went, that'd be a great name for a band. So that's what we called the band.
That's great.
It's all about taking this project, this dream, and finally bringing it forward. So we debuted in November of 2015, and we've done a handful of performances since then. But this is the launch of our first single. And it was supposed to come out before the pandemic. It was supposed to come out in February.
Oh my God, so many things were supposed to happen before the pandemic.
February of 2020, and I bumped it back, a month because I wasn't quite happy with the graphics. And of course, the whole world shut down. A lot has happened since. I'm certainly not the same person. I'm sure a lot of people aren't. And I just woke up one day and went, it's time to come back.
Yeah.
And
because there's that other side of the coin where you have to say, well, it's not doing anybody any good just sitting in a box.
No, but you also have to internally be ready. Because when you're a performer and you're out there and you're engaging with the lyrics and engaging with the audience and letting the experience sort of flow through you to them, if you've experienced the sadness, and I'm not going to go into it, but if you've experienced sadness, especially the way I did during the pandemic, you're afraid to let the lid off that box because you don't know what's going to piggyback emotionally and come out at that time. And I needed to be ready to be able to perform again. And so I finally was.
Well, I have to say, I really love the song. It's a song, I think the reason that I like it is because I can see the song as a single living on its own, but it also has, and this is, I think, due to your roots, a sense of musical theater where I could almost see it being a moment in a musical because it's a story song.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story of sort of drawing that line in the sand and saying, I was that, I'm not going back there anymore. I know some people think I'm weird or some people don't get me, but I don't care about that anymore. I'm moving forward, and this is who I am now, and this is what I'm going to do. So ironically, for me personally, it's the perfect time to release this song.
I have to say, for a video for a song, I love that you started out not in drag, literally, like it looks like rehearsing the number, and then as you get to the end of the song, you go through the process of getting stage ready. We see you at your most vulnerable, I think, for any drag queen, which is not made up. Yeah. Without all your armor on, and then doing a great job, and then putting it all on, and then still doing a great job. It was just it was a very strong video. I was very impressed, but I was expecting really nothing less from you.
Well, thank you, and I really want to give a shout out to Davide Sachetta, who filmed that video. A couple of days prior to recording, I thought to myself, oh my God, I need a video for this. What am I going to do? So I called up Davide, who had filmed some of our concerts. And I said, have you ever filmed a music video before? He said, no. I said, do you want to try? He said, sure. So he got almost all of that footage in about 5 hours.
Wow.
Because when you see all the in-studio stuff, that's all when it's being recorded. me at the microphone, that was staged. We went through it a couple times. And then the scene of where I'm getting made up, that was at the Young Center for the Performing Arts down in the Distillery District. And the being on stage at the end is actually filmed at the ROM because we had a performance there. And to loop back to your original question about was it a conscious choice to be out of drag and then in drag, absolutely was. I wanted people to see me first out. Because I remember when Kiss did their makeup and they were constantly trying to get them out of makeup. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to take all of that away. I'm going to give it to them right up front. There it is. Now you see me.
Is there an album in the works?
I was hoping there'd be an album by now, but I think I'm quite happy sort of putting out these 3-track singles and releasing them when I can and self-producing. So I know that they're out the way I want them to be. And people seem to be reacting well to this one, so hopefully another one won't be too far off.
Well, I am very impressed with you as a person anyway. I love how original you are, not just in your presence, but in your trajectory, like the way you do things your way and on your level. And you draw good people to you as well, which has to reflect on your work ethic. Do you know what I mean? Because people don't like to work with crazy.
And unless the money's right, and then all bets are off. But I've had great good fortune of working with some really great musicians, and the band now has a manager. I'm very happy to say, and so hopefully we'll start seeing some more gigs. And because the details of the business of performance, it can be very all-consuming, and it's very hard to do both, as I'm sure you know. I love self-producing, like I said, but when it comes to all of the rest of it, in terms of the business of promoting it and getting it out there, I just need some help with that. So I'm very glad that I have that now.
What do you have planned next? What's your next thing that you have on the schedule on the Christian Jeffries calendar?
Well, we're looking at some different performances, one on the East Coast, hopefully in August. And we're hopefully putting another Toronto show together for the fall.
Well, I would be there for it. You're not going to waste your money going to a Christian Jeffries performance or show for sure. And if you see Christian Jeffries' name on the bill somewhere, whether it's a Pride event or just a regular evening of music, go. I can't vouch for anyone else on it, but you will not regret seeing Christian Jeffries live. Well, as I said, Christian Jeffries is going to be taking the world by storm with this new single. I've got links down below to Instagram and Facebook. And Christian, first of all, I'm so happy to see you. I mean, you're one of those people that when you emailed me, I was thrilled. And when you were like, "Oh, can we do a Chin Wag?" It's like, yes. Even if you had nothing to promote, I would make time for you because I think you're just so lovely.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I wish you nothing but success. I hope that now that we whether we're over the pandemic or not, we certainly seem to be managing it a little better or being less scared of it. I'm hoping to see your trajectory just pick up where it got left off and continue.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Fingerdoo's crossed.
There we go. Yeah, there you go. Steal that one. Fingerdoo's crossed.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending time. I hope that you have a great rest of the summers are coming. So I hope that your summer is lucrative and fabulous. And I also want to thank everyone for tuning in to yet another Wilma Fingerdoo Chin Wag. If you enjoyed this interview, give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget, I have links down below, not just to Christian Jeffries and the world she lives in, but also if you want to leave a tip or do to help support the Fingerdoo review, or if you would like to join the Fingerdoo family on Patreon, or get yourself some Wilma merch on my Redbubble store, all of that's down there too. Christian Jeffries, my darling, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're most welcome.
And until next time, miss me! Mwah!